No one thinks a normal day will turn into a nightmare. For him, it started like any other quiet morning. The sun was soft. The street was clean. The houses looked perfect. Everything felt calm. Too calm. He lived in a neat neighborhood with strict rules. The kind of place where grass had to be cut short. Trash cans had to be hidden. Cars had to be parked in the right place. This area was controlled by the HOA. And at the center of it all was HOA Karen. She was known by everyone. Not in a good way. She watched everything. She complained about everything. She believed rules were more important than people. But on this day, he was not thinking about her. He was thinking about his wife. She was pregnant. Very pregnant. Her belly was big, and her walk was slow. But she was smiling. She always smiled. They were excited. The baby was coming soon. They had already set up the baby room. Tiny clothes were folded neatly. A small bed waited in the corner. Life felt peaceful. He made breakfast while she sat at the table. She held her belly and laughed softly. They talked about baby names. They talked about the future. They talked about nothing important. Outside, birds were singing. Cars passed slowly. The world moved like it always did. Everything felt normal. But something was wrong. He noticed it in her face first. Her smile faded for a moment. She took a deep breath. Then another one. "Are you okay?" he asked. She nodded. "It's nothing," she said. "Just a little pain." He believed her. Why wouldn't he? She had felt small pains before. Doctors said it was normal. Everyone said it was normal. So he went back to cleaning the kitchen. He did not know that this was the last peaceful moment they would have for a long time. Outside, a shadow moved near the window. HOA Karen was walking by. She always walked slowly. Her eyes scanned every house. Every yard. Every driveway. She stopped for a moment. She looked at their home. Her lips tightened. Her eyes narrowed. She noticed the car parked slightly close to the sidewalk. She took out her phone. She typed something. Then she smiled. Inside the house, they had no idea. The wife stood up slowly. She held the table for support. This time, the pain was stronger. She gasped. He rushed to her side. "Are you sure you're okay?" She tried to speak. But the words came out shaky. "I think something is happening." His heart skipped a beat. They both knew what that meant. But they were not ready. Not yet. He helped her sit down on the couch. Her breathing became faster. Her hands trembled. Still, he tried to stay calm. He told himself everything was fine. Outside, HOA Karen was still watching. She saw the husband rush inside. She saw the door close quickly. She frowned. She believed every sudden move was suspicious. In her world, rules came first. Always. She walked closer to their driveway. She checked the parking lines. She took another photo. Inside, the pain came again. Stronger. Longer. The wife cried out. This time, there was no doubt. He grabbed his phone with shaking hands. His mind raced. His chest felt tight. He thought about the baby. He thought about his wife. Fear filled his heart. But outside, HOA Karen had her own thoughts. She believed people like them caused problems. Too much noise. Too much movement. Too many excuses. She had stopped delivery trucks before. She had argued with repair workers. She had even blocked a moving van once. And she was proud of it. Inside the house, the wife leaned forward, holding her belly. Her face was pale. Sweat formed on her forehead. "This isn't normal," she whispered. That was the moment everything changed. He knew he could not wait anymore. He looked at her. He saw fear in her eyes. Real fear. Outside, the street was still quiet. No sirens. No warning signs. Just a calm neighborhood. The kind of calm that hides a storm. HOA Karen crossed her arms. She stood near the curb. She waited. She did not know what was coming. And neither did they. All they knew was that time was moving too fast. And help was not there yet. The husband dialed the emergency number. His hands were cold. His voice shook. As the call connected, the pain hit again. The wife screamed. That scream echoed through the house. And for the first time, HOA Karen heard it. She paused. Just for a second. But instead of concern, her face hardened. She believed rules did not bend. Not for pain. Not for fear. Not even for life. The calm was gone now. Something terrible was about to happen. And no one was ready for what came next. The phone call felt endless. He held the phone close to his ear while watching his wife struggle to breathe. Every second felt heavy. Every sound felt loud. "Please stay calm," the voice on the phone said. But calm was impossible. His wife's hands were gripping the couch. Her face was tight with pain. Her breathing was fast and uneven. "This is not normal," she said again. Her voice was weak now. He knelt beside her. He tried to stay strong. He tried not to show fear. Outside, the neighborhood stayed quiet. Too quiet. No one could see what was happening inside that house. No one knew how serious it was. Except one person. HOA Karen. She stood near the sidewalk, pretending to check her phone. But her eyes stayed on the house. She noticed the curtains move. She noticed the door open and close quickly. Something was happening. And she didn't like it. Inside, the emergency operator asked questions. How far along was the pregnancy? How strong was the pain? How often was it happening? He answered as fast as he could. Yes, please hurry. The operator paused for a moment. Then said words that made his heart drop. An ambulance is on the way. Relief hit him like a wave. But fear stayed close behind. The wife leaned back, exhausted. Tears ran down her face. "I'm scared," she whispered. He held her hand tightly. "I'm here," he said. "You're not alone." Outside, HOA Karen noticed something else. She heard movement inside the house. Voices. Urgency. Then she heard the word that changed everything. Ambulance. It came faintly through an open window. Her eyes widened. Then narrowed. An ambulance meant noise. It meant blocked roads. It meant breaking HOA rules. She shook her head. "Not here," she muttered. She walked back to her car. She opened her trunk. Inside were cones and warning signs. She always kept them. Just in case. Inside the house, the wife cried out again. This pain was worse than before. He stood up fast. He looked around, unsure what to do next. The operator told him to unlock the door. To clear the driveway. To stay with his wife. He rushed to the door and opened it wide. Fresh air rushed in. And so did trouble. HOA Karen was already there. She stood at the edge of the driveway with her arms crossed. Her face showed no worry. Only control. "Is there a problem?" she asked. He looked at her, confused. "Yes," he said sharply. "My wife is having an emergency." She glanced inside the house. She saw the pregnant woman on the couch. Instead of sympathy, she sighed. "Well," she said, "you know ambulances can't block the street. It's against HOA rules." He stared at her. "This is an emergency," he said. "Rules don't matter right now." She raised an eyebrow. "Rules always matter." Inside, the wife screamed again. That sound cut through the air. For a brief moment, even HOA Karen froze. But only for a moment. She stepped closer to the driveway. She placed one cone near the curb. "No unauthorized parking," she said calmly. His anger began to rise. His hands shook. "You can't be serious," he said. She smiled. "I am very serious." Far away, a siren began to sound. It was faint. But it was there. Hope filled his chest. The ambulance was coming. HOA Karen heard it too. Her smile faded. She quickly placed another cone. Then another. She pulled out her phone and started recording. "This is for HOA records," she said. Inside, the wife was crying now. Her body shook with pain and fear. He rushed back to her side. "It's coming," he said softly. "Help is coming." But even as he said it, doubt crept in. Outside, HOA Karen stood firm. She believed she was right. She believed the neighborhood had to stay perfect. Even in moments like this. The siren grew louder. Lights flashed at the end of the street. Red. Blue. The ambulance turned the corner. Neighbors stepped outside their homes. Doors opened. Whispers spread. Something big was happening. The ambulance slowed as it approached the house. Then it stopped. Not because it wanted to, but because HOA Karen stood in the way. She raised her hand. "You can't park here," she shouted. The driver looked confused. The medic stepped out. "This is an emergency," the medic said. HOA Karen pointed at the cones. "These are HOA rules." Inside the house, the wife screamed again. And this time, everyone heard it. The calm neighborhood was gone now. Fear, anger, and shock filled the air. And the worst part? This was only the beginning. The ambulance engine was still running. Its lights flashed red and blue across the houses. The sound filled the street. People stepped outside, confused and curious. This kind of thing never happened here. The medic jumped out first. He moved fast. His face was serious. But before he could take one step forward, someone blocked his way. HOA Karen. She stood in front of the ambulance like a wall. Arms crossed. Chin lifted. "You cannot park here," she said loudly. The medic blinked. He looked past her and saw the open front door. He heard the screaming inside. "This is a medical emergency," he said. "We need to help her." HOA Karen shook her head. "You are blocking the fire lane. It's against HOA rules." The driver leaned out of the ambulance window. "Ma'am, please move," he said. "There's a pregnant woman in danger." Karen didn't move. Rules were rules. And she believed she was the law. Inside the house, the husband paced back and forth. His phone was still in his hand. The emergency operator stayed on the line. "They're here," he said. "But something is wrong." His wife screamed again. Her pain was worse now. Her face was pale. Her eyes filled with tears. "I can't do this," she whispered. He knelt beside her. "You can," he said. "You have to." Outside, voices grew louder. Neighbors gathered on the sidewalks. Some recorded with their phones. Some shook their heads in disbelief. A young man stepped forward. "Lady, move," he said. "Let them do their job." HOA Karen turned toward him. "This does not concern you," she snapped. The medic tried again. "Please," he said. "Every minute matters." Karen pulled out a folder from her bag. Inside were printed papers. HOA rules. No emergency vehicle is allowed to block driveways without HOA approval, she read. The medic stared at her. Are you serious? He asked. She nodded proudly. Inside, the wife cried out again. Her body shook. Her hands gripped the couch so hard her knuckles turned white. The husband ran to the door. He saw it. The ambulance. The medic. And HOA Karen standing in the way. What are you doing? He shouted. She turned slowly. You didn't ask for permission, she said calmly. He felt something snap inside him. My wife could die, he said. Our baby could die. Karen frowned. You're being dramatic. That word hit him hard. Dramatic. As if pain was acting. As if fear was fake. The medic stepped closer to Karen. Move now, he said firmly. Karen stepped back only half an inch. Call your supervisor, she said. The siren was turned off now. The street felt tense. Another neighbor spoke up. She's pregnant, an old woman said. Have some heart? Karen looked at her. Rules protect us all, she replied. Inside the ambulance, another medic prepared equipment. But they couldn't move. The driver radioed for help. Inside the house, the wife screamed louder than before. This scream was different. It was filled with fear. The husband ran back to her side. Blood. He saw blood. His heart dropped. No, 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 he whispered. Outside, a neighbor shouted, something's wrong. The medic heard it. He pushed past Karen. She tried to grab his arm. Stop, she yelled. That was the moment everything changed. The medic turned to her. Move, he said. This is no longer a request. Karen stepped back, shocked by his tone. The husband ran back outside. There's blood, he shouted. The crowd gasped. Karen's face went pale for the first time. But instead of helping, she panicked. This is not my responsibility, she said quickly. She stepped away. The medic ran inside the house. The second medic followed. Finally, help reached the wife. But the damage had been done. Minutes were lost. Minutes that mattered. As they carried the wife out on a stretcher, neighbors watched in silence. The husband walked beside her, holding her hand. Her eyes were closed. He was terrified. Karen stood off to the side now. Quiet. No rules in her hands. No power in her voice. Just fear. As the ambulance doors closed, the medic looked at Karen. This is on you, he said. The doors slammed shut. The ambulance drove away fast. Sirens screamed again. The street was silent once more. But the calm was broken forever. And everyone knew it. HOA Karen had crossed a line. One that could never be erased. The ambulance was gone. Its siren faded into the distance, leaving the street quiet again. But this was not the calm from before. This silence felt heavy. It felt wrong. The husband stood in the middle of the driveway. His hands were empty. His heart felt even emptier. Just minutes ago, his wife had been right there. Screaming. Crying. Fighting through pain. Now she was gone. Taken away in an ambulance that almost never arrived on time. He replayed the moment in his head again and again. The cones. The shouting. The delay. HOA Karen. She stood a few steps away. Her arms were no longer crossed. Her shoulders were stiff. For the first time, she looked unsure. Neighbors whispered around her. Some stared at her with anger. Some with disbelief. A man shook his head slowly. I can't believe you did that, he said. Karen didn't respond. The husband turned to her. His eyes were red. His face was tight with pain and rage. "You wasted time," he said quietly. "You almost killed her." Karen opened her mouth, then closed it again. "I was just doing my job," she said finally. That answer broke something inside him. He laughed once. A short, empty sound. "Your job?" he asked. "My wife is fighting for her life." Karen looked away. Police sirens could be heard now. Not fast. Not urgent. Just routine. Someone had called them. The husband sat down on the steps of his house. His legs could no longer hold him. Inside, the house was a mess. Pillows thrown aside. Water spilled on the floor. The couch still held the shape of her body. The baby room was quiet. Too quiet. Outside, Karen's phone buzzed. She looked at it. Messages from the HOA board. What happened? Why is there an ambulance? Did you follow protocol? She typed back with shaking fingers. Yes. I followed rules. But even she didn't believe it anymore. A police car pulled up. Then another. 2 officers stepped out. They looked at the cones. They looked at the crowd. "What's going on?" one asked. Everyone started talking at once. She blocked the ambulance. She delayed them. There was a pregnant woman. The officers turned to Karen. "Is that true?" one asked. Karen lifted her chin. "I was enforcing HOA rules," she said. The officer frowned. "You blocked emergency services?" Karen hesitated. "I asked them to wait." The husband stood up suddenly. "Wait," he shouted. She was bleeding. His voice cracked. The officers looked at him now. "Sir," one said gently. "Is your wife okay?" "I don't know," he answered. They just laughed. That answer hit everyone hard. An officer turned back to Karen. "Ma'am," he said, "HOA rules do not override emergency law." Karen's face went pale. "I didn't know," she said softly. But the neighbors were no longer quiet. "You knew," someone yelled. "You just didn't care." Karen stepped back. The control she always had was gone. Her perfect image was breaking. The officer asked for her ID. Then her phone. She hesitated. "I need to make a call," she said. Later, the officer replied. As they spoke, the husband's phone rang. He froze. For one terrible second, he was afraid to answer. Then he did. It was the hospital. He turned away from everyone as he listened. "Yes," he said quietly. "Yes, I understand." He closed his eyes. "She's alive," he said after the call ended. Relief washed over the crowd. But his voice was not happy. "There were complications," he added. "They're trying to save the baby." Karen heard that. Her knees felt weak. This was real now. Not rules. Not paper. Real lives. The officers finished taking statements. Karen was told to remain there. Neighbors continued to watch her. No one defended her now. The husband went back inside his house. He stood alone in the living room. He looked at the couch. The floor. The doorway. Everything reminded him of her pain. He whispered a prayer. Outside, Karen sat on the curb. Her cones lay beside her, useless. For the first time, she was not in control. And deep down, she knew this was only the beginning of what she would face. Because when rules are chosen over humanity, they always come back with a price. The hospital hallway smelled of clean air and fear. The husband sat alone on a hard chair. His hands were clasped together. He had not moved for a long time. Doctors and nurses walked past him quickly. Their faces were serious. No one stopped. Time moved slowly here. Every second felt heavy. His phone buzzed again. Messages from neighbors. Messages from friends. Everyone had heard something. Someone had posted a video. Outside the neighborhood, the story was spreading fast. Back on the street, things were changing. HOA Karen was still sitting on the curb when another car arrived. This one was not police. It was a news van. A man with a camera stepped out. A woman followed him with a microphone. Neighbors pointed. "That's her," someone said. Karen's heart started racing. She stood up quickly. "I have nothing to say," she said before they even asked. But the camera was already rolling. "Ma'am," the reporter said, "did you block an ambulance from reaching a pregnant woman?" Karen opened her mouth. No words came out. Someone from the crowd spoke loudly. She stopped them. She quoted HOA rules. The reporter turned back to Karen. "Is that true?" Karen swallowed. "I was enforcing community guidelines," she said. Those words sounded weak now. Inside the hospital, the husband finally stood up when a doctor approached. "Are you family?" the doctor asked. "Yes," he replied quickly. The doctor's face was calm but serious. "Your wife is stable," he said. "But the baby is still in danger." The husband felt his legs shake. "Can I see her?" "Soon," the doctor replied. "We are doing everything we can." The husband nodded silently. Back in the neighborhood, Karen's phone would not stop buzzing. Messages from the HOA board now sounded different. "What were you thinking?" "This is bad. The board needs to talk." She typed back slowly. "I followed rules." But no one replied. The reporter continued. "Do you regret your actions?" Karen looked around. Every face was against her. No support. No respect. For the first time, she felt small. "I didn't know it was that serious," she said. The crowd reacted fast. She was screaming. There was blood. Karen flinched. The cameraman zoomed in. Inside the hospital, the husband was allowed to see his wife for a few minutes. She lay in a bed. Machines beeped softly. Her face was pale. But she was breathing. He held her hand. "I'm here," he whispered. She opened her eyes slowly. "The baby?" she asked. He swallowed hard. "They're trying," he said. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Outside, the reporter wrapped up the segment. "This story raises serious questions," she said. "About power, rules, and human life." The camera turned off. Karen felt dizzy. Her world was falling apart. A black car pulled up. Two people stepped out wearing suits. HOA board members. They did not smile. "We need to talk," one said. Karen nodded. Inside a nearby house, the meeting was short and cold. "This situation is unacceptable," the board leader said. "You put the HOA at risk." "I was doing my duty," Karen replied. "No," the leader said firmly. "You used your power without judgment." Karen was silent. "You are suspended," the leader continued. "Effective immediately." Those words hit harder than she expected. Suspended. Her power was gone. Back at the hospital, the husband sat beside his wife again. He watched the machines. He listened to every sound. A nurse entered the room. She smiled gently. "The baby's heartbeat is strong," she said. Hope filled the room. The husband closed his eyes in relief. Outside, night fell on the neighborhood. The street looked the same as always. Clean. Quiet. But nothing was the same anymore. Because the truth was out now. And once the truth is seen, it can never be hidden again. The night felt long. The hospital lights never turned off. They stayed bright and cold. The husband had not slept. He sat beside his wife's bed, holding her hand. He watched her chest rise and fall. Every beat from the machine made his heart jump. Doctors moved in and out quietly. Nurses whispered. This was the most fragile moment of their lives. Outside the hospital room, the world kept moving. But for them, time was frozen. Finally, a doctor walked in with a softer face. "We have good news," he said. The husband stood up so fast his chair fell back. "The baby is stable now," the doctor continued. "We had to act fast, but both mother and child will be okay." The husband felt his knees weaken. Tears filled his eyes. "Thank you," he whispered. Inside the room, his wife smiled weakly. "We made it," she said. He nodded. "Yes," he replied. "But someone tried to stop us." Back in the neighborhood, HOA Karen sat alone at her kitchen table. The house was silent. No phone calls. No messages. Just the sound of her own breathing. Her laptop was open. Social media pages filled the screen. Her face was everywhere. Headlines were harsh. HOA woman blocks ambulance. Rules over humanity. Community outraged. She scrolled with shaking hands. Comments poured in. How heartless. She should be arrested. This is evil. Her chest felt tight. This was not how things were supposed to go. She had always believed she was right. Always believed she was protecting the community. Now the community hated her. A knock sounded at the door. She froze. Another knock. She stood slowly and opened it. 2 police officers stood outside. "Ma'am," one said. "We need to ask you a few more questions." Her heart dropped. At the station, Karen sat in a small room. No power. No control. Just her and the truth. An officer placed a phone on the table. "Several videos show you blocking the ambulance," he said. "This is serious." Karen looked down. "I didn't mean for anyone to get hurt," she said quietly. "But they almost did," the officer replied. Meanwhile, at the hospital, the husband held his newborn baby for the first time. The baby was small. But alive. That was all that mattered. His wife watched with tired but happy eyes. "We're safe," she whispered. He nodded. "Yes," he said. "Against all odds." Back at the station, Karen signed papers with trembling hands. She was not arrested. But she was warned. Hard. And the report would not disappear. When she returned home, her street felt different. Curtains moved as she walked past. People whispered. No one waved. Her title meant nothing now. Days passed. The husband and his wife returned home with their baby. Neighbors greeted them warmly. Food appeared at their door. Cards. Smiles. Support. Across the street, Karen watched from her window. She saw what she had lost. Not rules. Not power. Respect. The HOA board made an announcement. New emergency rules. Clear paths for ambulances. No exceptions. The message was clear. Karen's name was not mentioned. But everyone knew why. One evening, Karen stood outside as the family walked by with their baby stroller. For a moment, she wanted to speak. To say sorry. But no words came. The husband looked at her. Not with anger. Not with hate. Just disappointment. And that hurt more than anything else. Because karma does not always shout. Sometimes, it simply takes everything you thought you controlled. And leaves you alone with the lesson. The neighborhood looked the same, but it felt different now. The streets were still clean. The lawns were still perfect. The houses still stood in neat rows. But something invisible had changed. The husband stood on his front porch, holding his baby. The baby slept peacefully, unaware of how close life had come to danger. His wife stood beside him. She was tired, but she was smiling. They had survived. The memory of that day still lived inside them. The sirens. The delay. The fear. They would never forget it. Neighbors walked by and waved. Some stopped to talk. Some said sorry for what happened. Some said they were proud of how the family stayed strong. The community felt closer now. Across the street, HOA Karen's house stayed quiet. Her car was there. Her lights were on at night. But she rarely came outside. When she did, she kept her head down. Her title was gone. Her authority was gone. All that remained was a woman facing her choices. One afternoon, the HOA board held a public meeting. The room was full. The board leader stood up and spoke clearly. "From now on," he said, "no HOA rule will ever interfere with emergency services." People nodded. Some clapped. "This neighborhood values life first," he continued. "Always." The husband and his wife sat in the back. They held hands. They did not speak. They didn't need to. The message was clear. After the meeting, people gathered outside. Some talked quietly. Some hugged. Karen stood alone near her car. She watched everyone. For a moment, she walked toward the family. Her steps were slow. Her hands shook. "I'm sorry," she said softly. The husband looked at her. He did not shout. He did not insult her. "My wife and child are alive," he said. "That's what matters." Karen nodded. Tears filled her eyes. "I forgot people," she whispered. "I only saw rules." Then she turned and walked away. That was the last time they spoke. Months passed. The baby grew healthy and strong. Laughter returned to the house. Late-night cries replaced fear. Life moved forward. But the story stayed. New families heard it. Old residents remembered it. It became a warning. A reminder. Rules are important. Order matters. But nothing matters more than human life. On quiet evenings, the husband would sit outside with his child and think. One choice. One delay. It could have ended everything. But it didn't. Because sometimes, bad actions bring change. Sometimes, one painful moment teaches an entire community. And sometimes, the loudest lesson comes from silence. The neighborhood would never forget that day. And neither would he.